Wow, what a year 2020 has been. The year started with major wildfires in Australia and ended with a highly contentious presidential election. Racial tensions erupted over the Black Lives Matter movement and the death of George Floyd and others, sparking controversy and conversation that will permanently change the narrative of this country. Kamala Harris was nominated as the first Black woman and first Asian woman to ever be on a major party's presidential ticket and will be the first female vice president of the United States. It was a big year. In January, the COVID-19 pandemic hit our home soil, and in March, the world as we knew it turned upside down. Our homes became not only a place to sleep and live, but a workplace and a learning environment. Those without a home found it impossible to be socially distant in a shelter, and the housing crisis that Pennsylvania already had got worse. Major industries saw their livelihood shut down overnight, and for some, there is still no light at the end of the tunnel. The reality is that nearly half of Americans do not have adequate savings to cover a 3-month gap in employment, and this is especially hard for low-wage workers. Many people feel desperate. A home within reach is not the reality to many of our fellow Pennsylvanians, and 2020 has put a spotlight on that. What could make this different? What needs to happen to set up the scenario so that every Pennsylvanian does have a home within reach? Is it more funding, more opportunities, more jobs, more housing? Many of us are working daily to reroute this course for our fellow residents. That's why we're all here, right? We are here to unpack, plan, strategize, and organize for a full housing recovery. I'm glad each of you have joined us. Being together, networking, and learning from experts and colleagues is exactly what we need to be doing right now. And here we are. But what does a home within reach really mean? To me, it means having a home that is safe, stable, comfortable, and not out of the realm of possibility for every Pennsylvanian. I took some time to challenge the staff at the Housing Alliance to think about what a home within reach meant to them. And this is what they said.
Now, more than ever, people need a place to call home. The structure a home provides keeps us safe all the time, especially during a pandemic. It also creates the structure our lives are built on.
To me, a home within reach means a place where you can rest safely and you never have to decide between paying for rent and paying for food.
Homes within reach is important to me because I believe it can bring stability, giving people the opportunity to create roots so they can continue to grow and have something precious to come back to.
To me, a home within reach means a sense of security and mental clarity.
It means having access to quality work, education, healthcare, and nutrition right in your community, and investing in communities that have long been disinvested in.
Homes within reach means having a decent, affordable living situation that supports my well-being.
To me, a home within reach means we have removed the systemic barriers and injustices that have prevented people from getting their fair shot at the American dream.
Homes within reach means people have safe, decent, and affordable housing options which provide safety, security, and peace of mind.
Now I ask you, what does a home within reach mean to you? Take a second and tell us by typing it in the Q&A box. Throughout the pandemic, each of us has been wondering, what will our new normal be? And how can we, the housing, homelessness, and community development sector, come back strong? These are questions that we can answer together as we envision and then realize a better future for lower wealth Pennsylvanians and for the sector that serves them. Most of us want to return to life pre-COVID and have our sense of normalcy returned. However, normal before the pandemic wasn't so good for many. Housing insecurity, homelessness, and getting sick because of where you live or your home's condition should not be normal. Over the past year, the pandemic and the racial justice protests shined a very harsh light on the disparities that existed before the pandemic that have been exacerbated by it. These disparities were created by our broken systems of housing, healthcare, education, and public safety. The National Community Reinvestment Coalition explained these disparities like this. Economic inequality isn't simply about how much stuff you have compared to others. It's about structural barriers that prevent groups of people from being stable and leaves them vulnerable to financial downturns. These differences result in life and death circumstances for many. This has been made painfully clear during the pandemic, which has disproportionately impacted lower wealth Latinx, Black, and Native American communities. Too much was broken before the pandemic. Let this moment be our reckoning. Let us recommit ourselves to changing the systems and laws that have kept lower wealth Pennsylvanians and people of color behind economically, in educational attainment, and in healthy outcomes. The Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania has identified 5 principles to come back strong, to make safe, decent, and stable housing a reality for all families in the Commonwealth. Every day, we dedicate ourselves to first, lifting up the voices of people with lived experience. Second, promoting housing as economic opportunity for all, especially people of color. Third, advancing cross-sector collaboration between the health, homelessness, and housing sectors. Fourth, supporting our network to grow, learn, and adapt. And lastly, challenging ourselves to improve the systems in which we operate. During our 16th annual Homes Within Reach conference, plenaries, and sessions, we will highlight these 5 principles and the individuals who are inspiring and guiding us to live them. Today, you will hear from 4 of our local partner organizations and their work to lift up the voices of people with lived experience through nonpartisan voter engagement. We challenge ourselves and we challenge you to keep people with lived experience at the center of the policy and program decision-making processes intended to benefit them. You will also hear about new opportunities here in Pennsylvania to collaborate with the health sector. During the pandemic, we all experienced the importance of our housing on our health. Simply put, housing is healthcare. The Commonwealth is a leader in transforming the service delivery system, and the housing sector has a new opportunity to be part of this. Today, we'll recognize 4 individuals who went above and beyond during the pandemic with our Frontline Leader and Essential Worker Awards. These 4 individuals represent hundreds of people who were and are on the front lines every day, going above and beyond to keep our Commonwealth running and our residents safe. The economic impact of the pandemic will be felt for some time. To weather the continuing storm, we need increased resources and better policy at the local, state, and federal levels. Today, we'll hear from several members of the Pennsylvania General Assembly who are fighting for us, fighting for lower wealth Pennsylvanians, and fighting for decent housing. Our work has never been more important. The Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania will stand with you, just as we have throughout our 35-year history, to plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize to make a home within reach that is a home that is safe, decent, and stable, a reality for all Pennsylvanians. This is what we mean when we say that we pledge to come back strong and to make a home within reach possible for all Pennsylvanians. Thank you for joining us today and over the next few days. And now I'm so excited to introduce our next set of speakers, 4 local organizations on the front lines serving people with affordable housing and supportive services, who prioritized lifting up the voices of the people that they serve, even during the pandemic.
In 2020, we witnessed firsthand the incredible strength and resilience of our partners and allies. The Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania partnered with nonprofit Vote to collaborate with 21 community partners throughout Pennsylvania to ensure everyone's voices were heard during the 2020 election. The results were remarkable. 2,000 more Pennsylvanians received nonpartisan, accurate voting information, ultimately making them feel comfortable casting their ballots while giving them a voice in the state and nation's direction. 2,000 more Pennsylvanians helped elevate their community's issues to our lawmakers in Harrisburg and Washington, D.C., especially for disenfranchised, marginalized, and vulnerable people in their communities. Now, 2,000 more newly engaged voters can continue making a significant impact at the local level as municipal governments struggle with the aftermath of the pandemic and possible budget cuts. This is the essence of coming back strong.
The Alliance supported these 20 community partners by providing technical assistance and support. In turn, these community partners distributed voter registration forms and mail-in ballot applications to potential eligible voters within their communities, reminded and helped the people they serve to get out to vote, and ensured all voters knew their voting rights. Our community partners creatively engaged voters by sending group text messages, mailing voter registration forms and a gift to graduating seniors, calling, collaborating with schools, including forms with food distribution, purchasing billboard advertisements, and having one-on-one conversations. These efforts led to over 2,000 new voter contacts in the Commonwealth. Our partners were organizations on the front lines providing affordable housing and direct services to vulnerable people with many demographics, including young adults, seniors, low-income individuals and workers, and individuals from underrepresented communities. Many of the initiative's voter contacts may have faced barriers to voting in the past. This project reiterated the importance of our combined power and the need to continually engage with our communities. If everyone here today were to engage just 2% of the people they serve, then by the time the November 2021 election season is in full swing, there would be even more impact. 2% of the 100 people you serve, those 2 individuals could become representatives on the school board and county board of supervisors. 2% of the 1,000 people you serve, 20 more people networking and learning at the Alliance's 17th annual conference. 2% of the 10,000 people you serve, 200 new constituents telling legislators to make affordable housing even more a policy priority. 2% of the 100,000 people you serve, 2,000 new voters given a voice to create change and put racial equity at the center of our work. That's what our community partners did, effectively engaged with a small percentage of their communities. We can do that too. And then in 2021, the housing advocate community will come back stronger than ever. Now, let's meet some of our PA Votes partners.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Quigley, and I am the Executive Director of Abilities in Motion. We are a center for independent living that advocates for the rights of people with disabilities throughout Berks County and surrounding areas. The 2020 general election was our first foray into voter assistance, and what an election it was. As a disability advocacy organization, we wanted to ensure that the disability population's voice was heard through strong civic engagement, and what better way to do that than providing support through voter initiatives. We were happy to work with the PA Housing Alliance as one of its nonprofit partners to offer assistance with getting out the vote for the 2020 election. In just a short period of time, we successfully made over 150 voter contacts that consisted of assisting with registrations, updating addresses, and changing parties. In addition to that, we also launched a media campaign to get out the vote that lasted 4 weeks in October. We purchased 15 billboards in and around Berks County that had one simple message: to vote on November 3rd. We assisted many people with questions about mail-in ballots. Again, as an organization that supports people with disabilities, our goal was to remove barriers to voting, and mail-in ballots offered many people with disabilities the opportunity to vote in a safe and secure way. We received a lot of positive feedback from our voter initiatives in 2020, and we've decided to make it a regular part of our advocacy efforts, not only for general elections, but also to engage consumers in local elections with their own communities on a smaller scale. We want to encourage people with disabilities to vote in local primaries and elections where they can choose mayors, judges, sheriffs, and other civic positions. 2020 revealed the power that the disability community has when they can vote. We learned so much through our partnership with the PA Housing Alliance and would like to extend our gratitude for allowing us the opportunity to be involved. It was the best collaboration we didn't even know we needed. On behalf of everyone here at AIM that was involved in the PA Votes project, we thank you and look forward to working with you all in the future.
Thank you, Stephanie, and your tremendous Abilities in Motions team. Because of Abilities in Motion, we have now 100 plus more voters in Berks County with differing abilities that will continue to advocate with local and state leaders on the importance of a safe and decent home as a critical healthcare need. Abilities in Motion's commitment to making sure every person is heard will continue in 2021 and beyond. They will ensure that the differing abilities community comes back strong. Before we go on to our next speaker, take a moment to think about Stephanie's charge of creating the best collaboration we didn't know we needed. What collaborations can you make to further your civic engagement work together? Now, let's meet Dan Farrell from the Allentown Housing Authority in Lehigh County.
Hi, I'm Dan Farrell, the Executive Director of the Allentown Housing Authority. Advocacy is an activity we take seriously here at the Housing Authority. Whether it's representing the interests of our residents in the community or keeping residents informed about important decisions, advocacy is important to us. The Housing Authority was invited by the Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania to join the nonprofit PA Votes partnership. While not a traditional nonprofit organization, we were pleased to receive the invitation and agreed to participate. One of our concerns from the beginning was that our residents would not receive good, nonpartisan information during the election season. Another concern was our residents would be lost in the messaging around voter participation. Participating in the partnership allowed us to focus our message on our residents. Low-income populations tend to get left out of many voter outreach activities. It was important to ensure our residents were representative and were actively involved.
As you may know, the students at Building 21 have been recognized with the Governor's Civic Engagement Award each of the last 2 years for successfully graduating students who are registered and ready to vote. This summer, thanks to Lehigh Valley Health Network and the Allentown Housing Authority, our students at Building 21 were given an opportunity to extend their work related to civic engagement. Our students were asked to disseminate information that provided our community with the opportunity to support voter registration and increase voter turnout. It was a great way for our students to exercise their political voice and engage in rich conversations relative to civics and citizenship. Before I close, I want to express our deep gratitude to Building 21 students, Lehigh Valley Health Network, and the Allentown Housing Authority for the invaluable contributions and support provided to make sure members of our community from all backgrounds are learning about elections and registering to vote. Again, to all who contributed to the summer work experience, it is fair to conclude, given voter turnout, that the experience was a great success. Thank you for all your excellent work.
My name is Sandra Barnes, and I'm the resident representative for the Allentown Housing Board of Directors. I believe that voting is one of the most important civic duties that a resident has fulfilled. This belief has led me to volunteer for different positions relating to voting, such as helping at voting polls and handing out and collecting voter registration. I am grateful for the Allentown Housing Authority has also emphasized getting out voting information to the residents through newsletters, posters, and voting canvassing.
Thank you for taking a few minutes to allow us to share our successful voter outreach efforts with you. I want to thank the team here at the Housing Authority and our partners in the community for their work on the successful program.
Dan, Jose, and Sandra, we are grateful for your partnership, and despite the raging pandemic, we appreciate you engaging so many new voters. Dan's commitment to ensuring that people from low-income backgrounds are given essential and correct information about voting and the issues affecting them reminds us of the importance of beginning to dismantle the systems that keep people of color and low-income persons in a cycle of poverty. To ensure everyone was contacted, bilingual Muhlenberg undergrad students worked as canvassers at Housing Authority properties. Jose explained how students, yes, post-millennials, had rich conversations about voting with other friends, parents, and peers. Sandra described how voting is the first of our civic duties and challenged us to go further. Thank you for being the sunshine of voter engagement in Lehigh County and showing how collaborations between schools, including secondary and higher education and housing authorities, work together to advance our mutual goals. Next is Maria Gonzalez, the President and CEO of ASE.
Hello, my name is Maria Gonzalez. I'm president of ASE. ASE is a community development corporation serving the Fairhill and St. Hugh neighborhood since 1982. Our community is very diverse, and we have many problems related to deep poverty, lack of affordable housing, and other social issues that have been impacting our neighborhoods for many, many years. One of the things that happens as a result of that, this investment in our communities, is that people in our neighborhoods really have a general apathy about voting. We have thousands of people that live within 1 square mile of our neighborhood. For example, within the service area that ASE serves, we have about 20,000 people that lives in our neighborhood, which is very dense urban. And it's unfortunate that many of them don't come out to vote because they feel that there have been many promises that have been made to them by politicians and not have been kept. One of the things that we wanted to do as part of this getting out the vote for the 2020 election was to really emphasize with them the correlation between the the problems that we have been having in our community, and also the power of the vote, making them understand how that impacts who our elected officials are and how they're able to represent the issues that most affect us. One in particular that was very successful in us being able to make that connection was at the beginning of 2020, where food stamps were going to be cut right before the pandemic, and they saw how who they voted in at the federal level was really going to impact them at the local level. So they really were energized as a result of seeing that connection between what's happening and how that affects their lives, and also voting for representatives that can best represent their issues. Our initiative was multi-pronged and very redundant to make sure that we emphasize the power of the vote, and also why it was important now more than ever to get out the vote. So we really were very forceful in making sure that it was done by door to door. So we went into our affordable housing developments, which was easier for us to be able to really communicate one-on-one with residents and give them the information they needed to make sure that they registered to vote. They also came out to vote and came out to the local polling places that were established in the community, which was extremely successful in getting people to participate in the vote. Also, we used our social media and our website to make sure that we maintain that constant communication and reminder about vote, and also the important dates that were really being targeted, make sure that we get people out to vote. In addition to that, mass emails and also mailers. Because of the pandemic, we have been relying heavily in mailing because many of our people in the community don't have accessibility to Wi-Fi or the equipment to be able to stay in touch through Facebook or websites. So we use the old-fashioned way of mailing information to people at their households to make sure they came out to vote, and also old-fashioned door knocking, make sure that we get people registered to vote. For us, that's really critical because we have a lot of problems in our neighborhoods, and we need our residents to work with us. We need to build that leadership in our communities to be able to advocate for the issues that most impact our communities, and so that our leaders are really carrying water so that we can have true change and sustainable change in our neighborhoods. And we're looking forward to building that leadership so that more people can testify at city council hearings and really work with us, with our different stakeholders and partners, to really emphasize and bring to the forefront those issues that are impacting our neighborhoods. As an organization, we can't do it all. It's really critical for our residents to work with us and alongside us, and to elevate our voices so that we can have change and tackle the many social problems that we have in our neighborhood.
During ASE's work on this project, as we all know, the COVID cases in the city of Philadelphia began to rise, but that did not stop their dedicated professionals and canvassers from knocking on doors and offering one-on-one support, filling out voter registration cards. As Maria stated, the connection between voting and the social ills of their community is unmistakable. Our national partner, the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, reports 70% of our fellow Pennsylvanians who are at 30% or below the federal poverty rate spend more on housing, leaving a lot less or nothing for health care, savings, and food. For the next city and state legislative cycle, ASE plans to call on these new voters to be the social change agent leaders in their communities, continuing to raise racial equity as a necessary practice in public policy making for our lawmakers. They will help keep affordable housing a priority in Pennsylvania, from local city halls to the state capitol buildings. Thank you, ASE. Let's meet Miss Patricia Blewett, Recording Secretary of the National Council of Negro Women, Rankin-Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section.
Hello, my name is Patricia Blewett. I am the corresponding secretary for the Rankin-Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. Our mission is to lead, advocate, and to empower women of African descent, their families, and their communities. We became involved with the PA Vote registration project this year. Our first opportunity was to sit down with our group, discuss what we wanted to do to accomplish this goal. At that point, we realized we had a little bit of a problem: COVID. Many of our members were not traveling outside of their homes and would not venture to get involved in different activities that would involve them meeting with other people. So we had to decide on a way that we could make sure that we reach people without endangering or making our members feel uncomfortable. So we decided to use the telephone. Telephone was a way that we could reach out to many people through all the various church groups, activities, the social groups, the various organizations that in our communities and that we were associated with. This became a great mission for many of our members. Now, there were some members that were able to venture out, and they went to the local barber shops, and they were able to reach out to people in the local beauty shop, take registration forms with them, talk to the people that were there. If they needed help filling out the forms, take that opportunity to fill out the forms with them. We also used the social media to send out information to various people to make sure that they were aware that the election was coming up and what they needed to do in order to register to vote and also to get their mail-in ballots back on time. Another way that we were able to reach people where we encouraged the school districts were passing out meals to the children. They were called grab and go because the kids were not in school. So their parents would come by to pick up the meals, and we were able to talk to these parents and find out if they needed information on registration and how to get them to sign up to vote. We also did the local community food banks. We went by and did the same thing that we did, encourage people to register for becoming voters and make sure the mail-in ballots were sent back on time. There were also individuals who were incarcerated, and they thought that they no longer had the right to participate in voting, and we were able to explain to them that since they had already served their debt to society, that now that they had the opportunity to register. So we got them to fill out forms, either go online or through their telephones to sign up to become active voters, and that was another great accomplishment that we felt. We made announcements on public meetings that we would participate in, church meetings, school board meetings, city council meetings, community meetings. Every opportunity we had, we took the chance to reach out to voters, to tell people, about registering, to make sure that they were sharing this mission and this message throughout the communities. We also had a PC TV telebroadcasting program. During this program, we were able to have panels of people discussing voting and the reasons that it was important to vote. We also discussed voter registration, mail-in balloting, and why that was also important. People were able to call in. And both of these seemed to be very successful because we had a number of people that called in with their concerns about voting and what they needed to do. So that was another way we were able to reach out to the community. We were able to encourage people at family gatherings and community gatherings that we were able to attend and get people to either sign up for voting, but we just had the same message over and over again, how important it is to register, and we were seeking out those people who were not so that we could give them information to make sure that they were able to become part of this program. One thing that we did was a little bit creative was there were a number of young people who are graduating this year, and they were not able to have the usual types of graduation ceremonies and the functions that normally they have at this time of year. But because they were people that we were going to reach out to anyway, Each of us decided that any child that we sent a graduation gift to, we would also enclose a voter registration form to that child to make sure that that child was able to realize that now you are not only taking on the role of a graduate, you are now taking on the responsibility of your community, and it's your job to vote and to continue to vote. But first of all, you have to register. So that was a part of their graduation gift. Some of the things that we did that were really, really creative was we asked for telephone numbers of people we could call. We did not realize that we were going to get a listing of over 10,000 names. And at first, we were not sure, could we do this? We divided the list up among the various members that were participating, and we decided that we would send out telephone calls, and not maybe everybody on the list, but like every fifth person, every 100th person on our list, until we got that goal accomplished. But then we found out something through the young people in our family, something called text by cell. And we were able to reach everybody on that list, over 10,000 people, not once, but actually 4 times. 2 times we registered them to register to vote, and finally 2 times to remind them that it was time to vote. Through this process, we were able to work with a lot of groups, find out different ways that people were reaching out and trying to get the same message across throughout our society and our communities. We found that this was really important. We were getting our voice out there and our name out there, so people started to recognize us as a part of the community that's willing to work to make our communities better. So we want to continue on this effort to keep working with various groups, to keep doing things that are going to be important for our society, and making sure that our voice joins in with all the others to help to make our communities better. Thank you for the opportunity of letting us be part of PA Votes and helping to register people to vote. Thank you.
Miss Pat and her sisters at the National Council of Negro Women, Rankin-Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section, proved that COVID-19 was not a barrier to successfully registering people to vote. The importance of this project for the National Council of Negro Women cannot be overstated, as they fanned out across Allegheny County, meeting their community members at churches, barbershops, food banks, and schools. Miss Pat and her group of advocates challenged themselves and connected with often forgotten members of their community. They shared the correct information about the right to vote with formerly incarcerated individuals. They engaged high school graduates to become first-time voters. They contacted thousands of their neighbors, reminding them to register to vote. They did all of this great work during a pandemic that left many organizations and government entities initially perplexed on how to engage and connect with their clients and constituents.
Thank you to all 20 community partners who helped register people to vote. We want to reiterate that for many of us, the first step in civic engagement is registering to vote. As the Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania and you, our partners, march into 2021, our PA Votes partners' fortitude and strength be our guiding light in our work together. Therefore, as we come back strong in 2021, let us not forget Patricia's wise words. Now you are not only taking the role of a graduate or advocate, you are taking on the responsibility of your community.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Homes Within Reach conference. We are proud to sponsor this event, and I want to commend Phyllis and her team for putting together this top-notch virtual conference. We are certainly living in a unique time. The pandemic and related impacts have made our work to support people and communities in need much more challenging. The pandemic has put a spotlight on the needs of the most vulnerable and racial inequity. And while no one can predict what recovery will look like, we at the Federal Home Loan Bank look forward to working with the Housing Alliance and all of you to tackle these challenges head on. Because I believe when we work together, there is nothing we can't do. The Federal Home Loan Banks responded to the pandemic by doing what we were created to do, delivering on our congressional mission to assure the flow of credit and enable our member financial institutions to support community development, job growth, and housing finance. In 2020, our 6 affordable housing and community-focused products were available uninterrupted, and we were able to deploy more than $50 million in grants and low-interest loans. We look forward to working with our member financial institutions and all community stakeholders as people in Pennsylvania and our nation recover. In addition to sponsoring this conference, I am a member of the Housing Alliance Board. In that capacity, I would like to thank all the conference sponsors for bringing us together virtually so that we can continue our important work. Without you, this conference would not be possible. I would like to now introduce Shanira Ashley of Truist Bank and thank them for their support of this conference and the Housing Alliance.
BB&T Now Truist is a proud supporter of this year's Home Within Reach conference and a proud partner of the Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania. My name is Shanaria Ashley, and I'm the Community Development Manager for BB&T Now Truist, serving the state of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. On December 7th, we officially celebrated our first year as Truist. And wow, what a year to merge and become the 6th largest financial institution in the United States, all during a pandemic. Our purpose at Truist Bank is to inspire and build better lives in communities, and this remained firm during a year of constant change. Community is far more than neighborhood, town, city, or state. Community means fellowship, common culture, shared goals. Community is home. It has been documented that thousands of Pennsylvanians are struggling to pay rent, buy a home, cover the mortgage or property taxes or other housing costs. As this group knows, lack of housing options has a direct impact on victims of domestic violence. They often must choose between remaining trapped in an abusive relationship or becoming homeless. We understand a balanced housing market provides the economic stimulus to neighborhoods that's needed. It brings money, jobs, and consumers into the community. Consistent with Truist's mission to inspire and build better lives in community, we uphold the spirit of the Community Reinvestment Act as we have committed to investing $60 billion over 3 years to support and strengthen communities across the footprint through our Community Benefits Plan. This includes a $31 billion commitment for home purchase mortgage loans to LMI borrowers, LMI geographies, minority borrowers, and majority minority communities. Affordable housing is very important to us here at Truist. BB&T Now Truist has provided $800 million in financing since the MOE to support more than 5,000 affordable housing units and created more than 1,700 jobs across the Truist footprint. We also provided more than $12.2 billion in COVID-19 relief through PPP loans, mortgage payment relief, and waived ATM fees, surcharge refunds to over 94,000 of our clients. With partners like the Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania, we are confident that we have the right formula to continue the fight. Congratulations to the Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania for another successful Homes Within Reach conference. Thank you for the work that you do in our communities. Now I'd like to introduce Robin Wiseman, the Executive Director and CEO of the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. PHFA is a sponsor of this conference and a very close partner to the Housing Alliance of Pennsylvania.
I'm so glad we're able to have a conference this year, even though it's virtual. PHFA has been happy to be a sponsor of this conference for the entire 16 years of its existence. The Homes Within Reach conference is well known for the caliber of the programming it has, and I don't expect this year to be any different. PHFA is happy to be associated with this conference and hope everyone finds the conference to be beneficial. Of course, PHFA and the Housing Alliance have been partners many other times over the years. Our missions are very much aligned, so it makes sense that we join forces. On almost any piece of housing legislation passed over the past decade, PHFA and the Housing Alliance have worked jointly to help shape the legislation and to get it passed. Most recently, we worked together to achieve passage of the state housing tax credit. Once funding, the tax credit will be another terrific tool to help us support the development of affordable housing in the state. So thank you to the Housing Alliance for being such a passionate and capable partner for so many years. We look forward to building on our past successes. It's not often during the year that so many of us in the housing community are together like this. So I would be remiss if I didn't take advantage of this opportunity to thank you all for everything you are doing, particularly during this challenging time during the pandemic. We talk with homeowners and renters every day, just like you, and we know as many of these are distressed. Some have already lost their housing, and thousands more are barely hanging on. An exceptional effort is required right now to keep families in their housing, so thank you for all of your work. Working together, we can do much more than we can separately, so we must keep up the effort. We are, and we must, continue to make a positive difference. As you know, just before year end, Congress agreed to the Consolidated Appropriations Act. This omnibus bill is an enormous effort to provide rental relief among many other kinds of relief. As drafted, this legislation includes funding to assist renters and fund affordable housing. And the bill establishes a 4% housing credit rate floor for housing bond financial developments. This is an enormous achievement. Novogradac estimates that this will allow for the production of roughly 130,000 additional affordable rental units over the next 8 years. And to help those Pennsylvanians that can't currently afford their rent, the final legislation includes $25 billion in emergency rental assistance. We project Pennsylvania will receive roughly $850 million for rental and utility assistance. So we look forward to working with all of our stakeholders to ensure these funds go to those who need it most. With vaccines arriving, perhaps by May or June, we will see the overall economy start to recover. Beyond that, we have a major role to play in addressing the systemic racism reflected in our housing policies and practices, as well as in broader society. I sense that now is the time. We can make major strides against divisions and inequities. And the housing sector can be a major player in delivering positive change. So let's get through the immediate crisis and be sure to take advantage of the changes we can make as a society. Our larger goals can only be met by addressing racism with intentionality and persistence. And while the growing process may be painful at times, if we can make tangible progress, it will all be worthwhile in the long run. We must continue on our journey to form a more perfect union. Thank you all for being such terrific partners with PHFA, and enjoy the conference.
We have so many people to thank. We really want to acknowledge our sponsors. Sponsors of this conference provides tangible benefits to our many sponsors, but it also ensures that the Housing Alliance can continue its work to make a home within reach for all Pennsylvanians. The pandemic has shown us that our work has been more important, so thank you for your support. I would like to invite Santander as a sponsor of our conference to speak with us for a few minutes. Thank you for your continued support and sponsorship.
Hi, my name is Bob Cooper, I'm the Mortgage Market Director at Santander Bank. We are sponsoring this year's Homes in Reach conference because of how important affordable housing is to Santander Bank. Affordable housing issues have always been important to me as well. I sat on the board of Neighborhood Housing Services for many years. I was their loan committee chairman for most of them. Getting people into affordable housing has been a huge blessing in my life. Unfortunately, the pandemic has made it even more challenging for people to buy homes. Many folks are struggling to make ends meet. It's important that we help each other in times like this and overcome the obstacles that lie before us. Getting people into affordable homes improves their lives exponentially. It also improves the communities in which they live. Santander is committed to helping customers with affordable loan programs and grant opportunities to help our customers fulfill their home buying dreams. We understand that there is nothing more important and personal in our customers' lives than our customers' homes. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you here today. On behalf of all of us at Santander Bank, I would like to thank you for this opportunity and wish you and your family a happy and blessed 2021.
This conference has been a forum for people all across Pennsylvania to come together to learn, network, and bring home new ideas. This virtual conference will continue to trend. We encourage you to engage with us and each other over social media over the next few days. Please use the hashtag Homes Within Reach. We will see you back at 1 for our next plenary. Thank you.